I'm trying to give the Thanos another shot now that it's on Netflix, and I'm having a lot of trouble. I'll explain why. I find it to be incredibly inaccessible for someone who isn't obsessive about their fandom in the Marvel, whatever they call it, the MCU. I don't even know what that means. Marvel Comics Universe. I'm sure I got that wrong. But I haven't seen every movie. Like, especially over the summer, I was working a lot outside. I didn't have time to see movies. And then I assume these movies are going to at least introduce each character and kind of acknowledge what their power is and how they fit into the story. But Avengers Infinity War does not do that. It does this thing where it drops you into well, as far as storytelling goes, it drops you right into the middle of the action. And you're just like, who's this? Who is that? How can he do that? And I kind of remember Doctor Strange, so I kind of remember how they can open portals and things, and that's how they banished that big monster guy into the tundra. And I'm like, oh, right, right, because in Doctor Strange, they have the mystical ability to warp space time, don't they? And it's like an excuse for Tony Stark to make a quip about, like, you're embarrassing me in front of the wizards. And like, I kind of snarked at that, or, chuckled at that. But it's the whole, like, okay, then this guy shows up, now they're here, now the Guardians of the Galaxy are here, who I do care for. They were okay. They're funny, right? But they almost feel like you're stepping into a different universe, or like it was a ensemble film that's made by different directors, and it's like, oh, this scene was directed by James Gunn, and now everything is on Dutch angles with like the moving camera again, or like the shaky cam again, and everyone's being snarky and funny and quippy, and Drax is hiding in the dark like he can't be seen, and he's just being goofy. It changes tonally a lot. It's kind of like a roller coaster that way. Suddenly it's being very goofy, and then suddenly it's being very dreadful, and it's like getting very heavy. And oof, oh man, even the Guardians of the Galaxy scene is introducing all this exposition about Zoe Saldana's character. I can't, if you promise you'll kill me, kind of thing. And I'm like, oh please, you're gonna put him in that position. And of course, he is, Chekhov's gun. You put that on the table, it's got to be used almost instantly, and so almost instantaneously, Thanos forces Chris Pratt to weigh that bargain, whether he can do it. And he tries, but I guess Thanos can warp reality. And here's where we've gotten into, like, this movie has completely ruined the stakes for other movies forever. It's just almost like ruined storytelling. Where if there's a guy with a magic oven mitt that can just change reality and change space time, and it's just like, poof, this scene wasn't real. It feels like those Star Trek episodes where they're like, it was all a holodeck simulation. It was all a dream. It was all a, pheromone induced hallucination by an alien that can do that. It wasn't real. And you're like, well, then who cares? Or like, I don't know. And then you can't trust any scene after that. Because I keep expecting every scene after that to dissolve into this like steampunk hell that keeps showing up with all the flames shooting out of rusty pipes. I'm like, what is this? It looks like a Tenacious D video. I'm sorry. I think I've gotten through about an hour of it. Because watching it at home doesn't really hold up for me. Because I'm not trying to make fun here. Right from the get-go, that guy with no nose, his whole scene looks like a PS4 cutscene to me. It looks like something from like Star Wars Battlefront 2. Or Destiny 2 or something like that. They don't convince me. They don't pass that test at all. The Uncanny Valley test, they look like a PlayStation game to me. And I saw Doug Walker's recent review where he's like, "Oh, Thanos' CGI didn't bother me at all." I'm like, "Well, then you've got CGI colored glasses, and you I don't know what you're watching this movie with or on, but he looks like a cutscene. He looks terrible, and it's very distracting to me. And Chris Pratt calls him Grimace." When people were calling them that derogatively or pejoratively or whatever, they're calling him that to be mean, and they're throwing it in the movie to kind of acknowledge it. They're like, yeah, doesn't he look like stupid? Like, yes, distractingly so. I don't know. And I'll end by comparing it, like I've done in the past, to My favorite blockbuster of all time, Terminator 2 Judgment Day. Or go ahead, show that to anybody. Like, probably appropriate is like 10, 11 to 80. And they'll know exactly what's going on, and they'll be interested in the stakes and intrigued by the plot. It's easy to follow, but still intense and exciting and like edge of your seat, like they used to say. And now it's more like the divots you make in your cheek with your knuckles as you're so bored from trying to figure out what's going on.